Moved by Councillor Mackay, seconded by Councillor Regier. Be it resolved that the corporate services of the Township of Whitewater Region came out of closed session at 5:55 p.m. Open session report. A closed session meeting was held. 2 items were on the agenda. Section 239(2)(b), personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal employees. Any discussion? All those in favor? Carried.
So, Madam Chairman, at this point, I'm going to declare pecuniary interests of the BEI situation. Thank you. Give me a shout when
Are you going to fill it out?
Oh, I didn't know that was my problem. Okay.
It's your pecuniary interest.
Yeah, I'm declaring.
It's item 4A2.
Making you work, Kyle.
I was, I just...
Right. So the first item on the open session, I'll wait until Hal has declared.
Completely declared.
Very good. Thank you very much. Okay, and this is just for background information with regards to the BEI grant, and we've had no response to the February 3rd proposal of a grant as a loan to BEI. A draft agreement was offered with the length of term, dollar amount, and interest rate was left blank in the event that we borrowed on behalf of them. And as of Friday, April 29th, we have not received any documentation on this file. So it's at a stale right now. In the event that anybody's wondering the status of that issue. Okay. The next item on the agenda is staff banked time policy. Christine?
Yeah, I was requested to bring this item back in the springtime for further discussion. You have the policy, and for example, Karen right now, Erica just pointed out to me, is at her 35 hours as per the policy. So the rest of overtime for Karen for the year would have to be taken in time, which I think would have considerable impact on reception in the front line. I also provided you with a confidential email from the building official. I did not put that in the public package, with Doug noting his accumulated time. So the issues are in my report. I have nothing to add to that.
Any discussion? Councillor McLaughlin?
Well, I'm thinking if we people at 30 hours, and this is only May, and every meeting, once again, I'll allude to, is an evening meeting. So I think we might as well just bite the bullet and call it business and leave it at, turn it back to 90 hours. That's my suggestion, because we're the ones that are requesting these people to be here at the meetings. So I think part of the meetings, because as I go back before, we used to have afternoon meetings. We don't have afternoon meetings anymore. And plus we're down 1 employee right now. So I would like to see it move back to as we did last year, and move it to 90 hours.
Councillor Mackay?
I agree with Councillor McLaughlin. I think that's a good idea. We can't have these people working for nothing.
Councillor Olmsted?
I'd agreed as well. I think for this coming year, if we jump on the winter meetings earlier, I think we didn't start that till about January this year, where we moved some of the meetings to daytime meetings. So So I think if we jump on that, maybe November, when, some staff can make those daytime committee meetings, and, I think that'll help alleviate a lot of the bank time as well. Or whatever suits November, December, so 2 or 3 meetings makes a big difference.
Can I suggest that we bump that up to 91 hours, and then it gives them an extra 3 days, full days, so that it just makes it even if they want to take a full day off? Just make it to 91. Mayor Johnson?
With Karen's job description, she goes now to, paid time and a half when she's over her time, am I correct?
No, as per our policy for non-management employees, a maximum of 35 lieu hours per year can be earned. So she has already earned her 35 lieu, so anything that she earns from the rest of the meetings would have to be
Paid out at time and a half.
Paid out at time and a half.
paid out, I guess.
Yes.
What's your overtime policy? Does it not, like, according to,
This is it.
employment standards, 40 hours a week for any employee, anything over 40 hours is automatically a time and a half. So unless you have, a policy stating better than that, then it's time and a half after 40 or time and a half after 35, whatever it is. But, she's not in a management position and therefore is entitled to overtime. Overtime pay.
Okay,
If it's over, like, whatever, like, I don't see it in here about the 40 hours or,
right there.
Yeah, I've read it in,
that's a maximum of 35 hours,
banked.
per year can be earned, but it doesn't say that it's banked at time and a half or it's banked at time.
Oh, I see what
Employment
you're saying
standard
now.
says after 40 hours, it shall be time and a half.
So I would have to adjust the policy then to include that wording. So where we sit right now, because I'm trying to draft a resolution, is 91 hours of banked time for management professional employees. And for non-management employees, it would be time and a half paid out after 35 hours per week.
Banked. After 35 banked hours, but we still haven't decided if
Well,
that's
actually, according to employment standards, it's up to the employee to decide whether or not they want to be paid out or if they want to actually bank them. So perhaps sometimes at the beginning of the year, she may want to be paid out or she may want to bank them. Each individual time, it's up to the individual employee to determine, according to employment standards.
okay.
Councillor McLaughlin?
Okay, and I can only allude to my own, profession. Whenever we worked, we had the choice of either taking time and a half or you banked it at time.
Right,
That's
which is
the
what
way
I'm
we went.
saying.
You're,
Well,
you're saying, okay, I was
you have
getting,
to bank it at time and a half as well.
no, we banked it at time. That was,
Were
that
you
was the
under a
way,
union?
yes,
That's a different story.
okay.
Yeah, this is
Yeah, it
fine.
could be it. A question too, you're saying 35 hours, is,
I didn't say 35 hours, Christine said 35
okay,
hours.
is a normal week, or you were saying 40 hours, but isn't a normal week 37 and a half?
Normal week is 35.
Our weeks are 35.
Oh, okay, I'm wrong there, then.
Employment standards says 40 hours.
Okay, so, and that's still for
Doesn't
not,
mean that's a normal week for anybody, it just means that after 40 hours,
okay,
it shall be time and a half.
okay, so, I guess, is it up to Christine to decide whether it's 40 hours or it's 35 hours, or,
Well, that would be up to council whether or not we
Okay.
want to pay it at time and a half at 35 hours,
okay,
or at,
40
leave it at at employment standards at 40.
okay,
So in other words, if we have 2 meetings in a week, or go over 5 hours of a meeting time, then, she's entitled to time and a half after those 5 hours.
And has the option to
Or,
go with
if we
banked.
do it better than 40, then it's time and a half after the better option. if we say 35.
Yeah.
I say leave it with employment standards, and then it's more consistent to what it has been done in the past. Perhaps the motion can just be read that you'll amend the policy and update it and bring it back to council on the 18th, is it? Is that okay with council?
I'll also, I think that should be discussed. We only have one employee really that's being affected very much by that. So maybe we could have our CEO instructed to talk to that employee for their options that they would like to bring back to us, which is payout or bank or what all those.
Well, if the deputy treasurer came as well, they're a supervisor, but they're also a worker. You know, they're supervised by somebody else, so it's
But
it's a fine line there as well, if that person was entitled to the time and a half or not. I would also recommend that in the policy that you identify what positions are considered management and what positions are considered non-management. And then it's clear.
My point is actually just that because we're changing this after people have been hired, that I feel it important that they have input, that's all. We'll make the final decision, but I feel they need to have input.
Yeah. No, okay. So can I have a mover and a seconder? You might want to pass it down because it'll just have to be changed. Moved by Councillor McLaughlin, seconded by Councillor Olmsted. Be it resolved that the Corporate Services Committee of the Township of Whitewater Region agrees to amend the hours of work and overtime policy and bring it back to the May 18th council meeting. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Carried. Pardon me? We did that already, the BEI grant?
Did we skip it?
No, we
Okay.
talked about it already.
Okay, because it was really fast. That's what I was asking.
Okay. Number 4 is the Historical Society, painting the building, whether or not there would be a student. Christine, or Mayor Johnson, I should say. Looks
Yeah,
like
I can
you
speak
asked.
to that. The little church that belongs to the municipality and the Historical Society in Foresters Falls needs some attention, needs some scraping and painting, and it needs it really soon in order to save it and not have it deteriorate. And I'm suggesting that because of the price of a student and the fact they need employment, that we would be well served by hiring or an extra student and having them work at that. And then if there was a time when they couldn't work at that or whatever, we could by all means let Bill have them here and there or somewhere else within the municipality that serves within that set. I'm not sure about the union. Maybe we couldn't. Maybe we'd have to bring them to the office or take them to the dump site or whatever. But I think we need to address this situation, and I feel that hiring a student is the cheapest way that we can do this.
Christine?
There was also some discussion between the mayor and myself about perhaps inquiring if we have the same brother and sister swim instructors, and they have come forward and they're interested in the job. So I told them after 4 o'clock today the contest was closed and that the job is theirs. Maybe they could start a month early if they're interested. they're not interested in that, then we could look around for an additional student.
Councillor McLaughlin?
I take this as exterior work, that's to be done, is that correct?
In and out, both.
In and out.
Some of both.
Well, I hope it's not the ceiling,
That's gonna have to be addressed also, yeah.
because that, I wouldn't wanna see a student in there, 'cause I remember it was Scooty Bridges that did it when they first got it, and he had the big tall ladder from the United Church in Forster's Falls, and he was up on top of that. Like, I think when you get to that point, Hal, you need a professional painter to do those kind of things. I agree that I'm not real crazy about them painting the outside of the building, because the outside of the building is brick as well. And you know what paint and brick can happen, what can happen there, but as long as the Historical Society's happy with it, then I'm happy with it, but they need to know they're not getting experienced painters to do the project.
Have they not hired students before to do for the summer?
Any time that I know we had students, the students worked for Bill doing road work. I don't think there was any students ever hired like you did in Ross. When Ross was there, there were students.
The Historical Society?
The Historical Society hires a student.
Yeah, the Historical Society
Yeah,
hires
Yeah,
students.
they hire a student, is more of a tourist, like they look after the
Touring and...
touring
yeah.
and anybody, the guests, greeting, doing different things. I don't think they would be, you couldn't put them down there and start painting, and they're supposed to greet the people, because I think they open in May as well, if I'm not mistaken. So I agree with, maybe Christine's idea is a good idea, as long as they're on board to know the people and the skills that they're getting.
Mayor Johnson?
I have brought the student idea to them, and they're actually quite thrilled with that, Councillor McLaughlin. And in order for anybody, regardless of whether they're student or professional, the only way that they can paint exterior or interior is with scaffolding. So we'd have to rent scaffolding, which isn't a big expense by any means.
Christine?
It occurs to me that there would probably, Steve, have to be some health and safety training for, fall prevention, et cetera, if we've got students up on a scaffold. Oh, I'm sorry, I took the battery out of that drain.
I wouldn't put any student on anything over 10 feet tall. I can't find local training for my own employees with respect to working at heights awareness, fall arrest, and I would never put a young person up any higher than 10 feet.
I agree.
Okay.
Mayor Johnson?
Second part, we need the money to hire professionals, because this building is not going to make it if we don't, and it's our responsibility, it's our building. So that's what I'm bringing forward.
So could they get a quote, and could we find out how much that is, and
Sure.
what needs to
bring
be
it through.
done? And they need to bring a formal request?
Yep.
Should bring a formal request with regards to funding? Councillor McLaughlin?
I would like to see the invoice where we paid Scooty Bridges to do it the last time.
How long ago was that?
That would be back probably around 2008, somewhere there when they first took it over.
It might be destroyed?
Mm-hmm. Okay,
Only-
because I don't remember us ever paying. I'm sure it was the Historical Society that paid for all the renovations, because it was done when they first took it over. So,
Christine?
How about we ask the Historical Society for a formal request in writing, and then we'll go out and get 2 or 3 quotes that are current in 2016 dollars and see where that lands.
Okay. Okay, next item on the list, Pembroke Airport Commission marketing update. Darrell? Councillor McLaughlin, sorry.
I think I put that on there just more or less for correspondence. In there, with some of the things that are done there on that article on the back page on moving forward. So it was more just to tell people some of the little things that were going on. That's what that. As far as an update goes, I was at a meeting last week. We set the budget. There's money going to be drawn out of reserves to start this business program that was wanted. There's a whole lot of things going on, and I'm not quite sure where it's going to end up.
Good. Okay, that's the end of the Corporate Services Committee. Next up is Public Works Committee Chair Dave Mackay.
Blue.
This is the Public Works Committee, and we'd like to introduce Steve Boland from Renfrew County, and you can introduce your associate, please.
Thank you, Chair Mackay, members of council. Thanks for taking the time to meet with us for a few minutes tonight. With me I have Rick Bolduc. Rick is our Manager of Operations, and Rick's been around for a couple of years, but many of you will not have had an opportunity to meet him yet. We'll see what we can do to change that over the next little while. So it's good to be back here in Whitewater. I think last year I was down here with Paul Morrow about this time, and we were talking about active transportation and some other things. Thought we would like to give you an update on some of our capital program for this year, for 2016, and in particular speak to the projects that we have lined up in Whitewater region. Total of over $2.6 million is what we plan to spend within your municipality this year, and it's over 4 roads, 3 contracts themselves, but 4 roads. And Christina's handed out 2 things to you. One is a schedule like this without all of my scribbly notes on it, and the other is a map to show you where the projects are, and you know the roads probably better than we do, given that you live here every day. So In no particular order, the first project on the list is actually combined of two roads. County Road 4, the Queens Line, and County Road 48, Magnesium Road. We've combined those two projects into a single contract, and they are proceeding. County Council awarded that contract last week. H&H Construction, I think, Rick, is the contractor, if I recall correctly, and the total amount of that is just shy of $1.9 million for the total undertaking. We've been very fortunate this year in our tenders, getting them out early, in that we've seen exceptional pricing, and we've seen unit prices in some areas that we haven't seen for many, many years, especially in asphalt, and that's largely a function of the reduction in global oil prices. So we're taking advantage of those very good prices this year, and in fact we've been able to expand projects. The Queens Line project is a good example of one that we've been able to expand. Initially, the contract and the way our budget was set up, we were going to be able to do the Queens Line from Cheneau Road up to just shy of Colesmith Road. Given the savings in our program that's been tendered so far, we took a report forward and County Council approved it to do the entire length of Queens Line. So that will be a huge undertaking for us, $1.4 million roughly. It's an overlay project, for the most part, 50 millimeters of new asphalt plus padding to fill in some of the low spots in the wheel tracks and what have you. We're also undertaking some fairly significant active transportation improvements along that road and incorporating a 1 meter wide paved shoulder for the entire length of the road, from Cheneau Road up to Foresters Falls Road. There are some culverts that we're replacing, and we also have 4 culverts that we're going to be lining, and those lining projects will be undertaken by the county's day labor crew prior to the construction. There's also some guide rail work to be done in any of these projects. The guide rails tend to, the posts rot off, simply put, over time, and so we're taking the opportunity to upgrade those guide rails as well as we go through. The one area that we're not doing a full overlay on is from the Cheneau Road, about 1.8 kilometers northwesterly. That's a section that we did an overlay a few years ago. So we're not going to do that again, but we are going to provide the 1 meter paved shoulders on either side of that so that cyclists and people walking up and down the road have a better opportunity to stay away from the traffic. And when all is said and done, we'll paint a white edge line between that 1 meter shoulder and the traveled portion of the road. I'm just going to jump down to Magnesium Road. That's the third one on the list that you see there. That encompasses the entire length of Magnesium Road as well, about 4.7 kilometers. Again, a 50 millimeter or 2-inch overlay of hot mix asphalt. We've got some minor ditch cleanouts that we need to do. There's a couple of culverts that need to be replaced, but essentially that's a resurfacing of that road. Both of those roads are scheduled for construction in August, September. So as it was pointed out to me as we were waiting in the foyer, we're sort of between planting season and harvest season. So we'll let the folks in the agricultural community get their crops in the ground, and then we'll tear up the road and make a mess so that it's nice for them when they have to take the crops and get them to market. So hopefully all of that works out, and we'll have some nice new shiny pavement down there sometime in September. The second project that you see listed there is a section of County Road 8, Main Street, right out here in front of your building. You may recall that over the last number of years, County Road 8 was resurfaced from Kelly's Corners through to the railway crossing, essentially. Well, we're taking the opportunity now to finish off the balance of County Road 8 through the built-up area of the community of Cobden. And the project is really a shave and pave, where we go in and we'll mill off the existing pavement, place a new lift of pavement in there in its place, and reshape it. There are some curb repairs that will go along with that, not replacing all the curbs, but curb repairs. Some of the curb is in reasonable shape, so let's keep it that way. We have some storm sewer repairs, one in the area of John Street, where we've been in conversation with your public works folks. Some years ago, and for the life of me, I don't know why, somebody installed a storm sewer and a water main that actually cross inside the pipe. That's somewhat of a no-no. And so we're taking the opportunity to repair that as well. Right now, we still need to do some further investigation to determine whether that pipe is live or not, because there was a water main replacement done in that general area many years ago. And once we get the ground opened up, then we'll work with Bill to confirm the status of that water main. If we can simply cut it off and block it off, if it's not an active main, then we'll do that. If it's a live water main, then we'll have to loop it around the storm sewer system.
Steve, there's one area on the main street of Cobden, just close to this corner of Crawford Street, that's quite bumpy. So just a shave and pave, is that going to be leveled out?
The shave and pave will help smooth that out, and then the new pavement on top should correct that problem. So we'll have a look at it. We do also have a small area where we have to do a base repair. It's about 20 meters long, and
That's where she's talking about.
That's where I'm talking
that
about,
may be where it is. Rick,
Yeah.
Is that the location? Okay.
Yeah.
Councilor McLaughlin?
Thank you.
Okay, Steve, you were talking Queen's Line,
Yes.
and you're talking about putting a bicycle path. Do you bring the level up to make it even
Yes.
with the road?
Yes.
So you'll build up the shoulders?
Yes.
Okay.
That's correct. So we'll regrade the shoulders.
Do
bring them
you
up to a
enlarge
point.
it, so the culverts aren't enlarged, we just use the same surface as we have now?
Correct.
You just go out to the edge,
That's correct.
pave it, and then put a line on it, is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Now, I don't know, at one time, you had done the Queen's Line at the far end, near, how do I say, from Colesmith Road, you had put a layer on it before. And if you drive the Queen's Line now, you can see where one layer has just lifted off.
You're quite right. About
That's quite
I'm going to say about 13 or 14 years ago, we applied what's known as a microsurfacing treatment to the section of the Queen's Line from just east of Colesmith Road up to Foresters Falls Road. As a very thin overlay, about 3/4 of an inch thick. And that is starting to fail.
Yes.
As a part of this project, those areas that are failed will be padded, and then the new overlay placed on top of this.
So, and you're hoping that this will last longer?
It should last longer, yes.
Last longer, so you do something different, is that correct?
It's a different treatment altogether.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, no, that's the word I wanted to hear.
Different treatment.
Different
altogether.
treatments, different,
The other treatment was really I'll call it a deferred maintenance treatment. So we wanted to make sure we could hold the road in reasonable condition for a number of years. Did that reasonably well. Now it's time to do a more extensive treatment, a true overlay with hot mix pavement.
So, is this the way you would do any bicycle path, is that correct?
It depends on the location, it depends on the geometry of the road, it depends on a number of different factors.
There's no chance you would take over the Grand Settlement Road and put a bicycle path on there, is there?
That's a request County Council would need to consider.
Okay, because at one time it was a county road when it was built.
Yes, it was.
It was built by the county and then turned back to the township. So maybe we could do that again.
That's something County Council would need to consider.
Okay. Anyway, I was just interested in
Sure.
seeing about the bicycle path and making that it comes up. And I think it's a great idea, and we need to do more of it.
And we're gradually working forward with that.
Yeah.
So that kind of updates you on those three projects. County Road 8 out here in front of us also has a number of catch basins and manholes that require repair. Typically, the brickwork over a number of years that holds the catch basin lids and manhole lids tends to deteriorate, so they'll be upgraded as well. And that project's also scheduled to happen in September, the month of September. The other one that we're doing on, we're gradually getting a lot of these projects completed, is Road 50, the Gore Line. And 2 years ago, I think it was, we did an overlay over a portion of that from the intersection at La Paz to about Nicolai Road. And this year, we're going to continue that through until we get to the curbed section at Westmeath, approximately 7.3 kilometers in length. And that, again, is an overlay project where we will pad the low spots, put a new lift of pavement over the entire road, and then all of these rural roads also have a gravel component to the shouldering. So to bring the shoulder up to where it's needed to protect the edge of the pavement and avoid problems with people dropping a tire off the road and being tossed into the ditch or into oncoming traffic. So that's an important element. That project will be undertaken, is planned to be undertaken as well in August, in early August. So you'll see a lot of activity in your community in the month of August by us. So that's sort of a brief update on those 4 projects. Certainly happy to answer any questions.
Mayor Johnson?
Steve, on the Gore line, are you intending to put the meter on?
No.
No. Okay.
That's not, when we identified the needs for active transportation, like you, we had a budget that we had to satisfy, and that's one, in speaking with the active transportation users groups out there, the Queens line was their preference.
Councillor Olmsted?
On the active transportation vein, so what's the process that you go through to identify what areas of the township that you're trying to install these active transportation lines?
So that's a really good question, and I can probably give you more information after a meeting that I have tomorrow. There's been a new group formed, there's been an active transportation group in the area, or groups in Renfrew County for a number of years, and they are promoting predominantly cycling, but other forms of active transportation as well. They have recently got together, and I'm meeting with them for the first time tomorrow. Many of the same people, but they've formed a stronger collaboration, is the best way I can describe it. And one of the items that they undertook to prepare a few years ago was a prioritized routing of where they felt there was a need for improved active transportation. So we've been working with that group, or the previous groups, as we identify projects that need work, to identify where they see the greatest priorities being from an active transportation perspective. What County Council did about 3 or perhaps 4 years ago was adopt an active transportation policy, and I'd be happy to provide that to you if you wish, which outlines some of the criteria in terms of what should it be, hardened shoulders, separated lanes, the widths, whether it should be 0.5 meter shoulder, 1 meter shoulder, 1.5 meter shoulder, etc., based on traffic volumes. But the one consistent component to the program is, let's try to do as much work in conjunction with a construction project to get the economies of scale, as opposed to putting a 1 meter or 1.5 meter wide paved shoulder, hardened shoulder down a road that's not undergoing construction. Simply put, the costs are about 2.5 to 3 times to put that paved shoulder down without another construction project being attached to it. So there's significant savings. And County Council also established a budget line for that work, and we need to obviously work within that budget.
If I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
In the last couple of years, there's been a lot of behind-the-scenes work on the CP and CN rails, and a lot of that stuff just coming to the forefront now and coming to the public, and we're starting to see some news articles on it. I think a lot of that is becoming more public. I think there's actually something on the docket tonight, as a matter of fact, with the CP. But I'd really want to try to make sure that the active transportation routes link in with the overall rail systems. That, there's a lot of connecting links that I think we can make available with respect to Queens Line, and there's a rail coming from the Quebec side through Fortress Falls, whatnot, and same through Cobden. But I think I'd want to make sure that everybody's on the same page with the links.
Yeah, so a couple of things that, if I may, Councillor Mackay, You've probably heard the news that last week County Council approved the purchase of the CP rail line through the County of Renfrew, and that's another step in the journey. And Councillor Bob Sweet has indicated consistently that there is a need, once the county has that in place, to consult with the various users groups and municipalities along the corridor. So I would expect that at some point, and that's just starting to come together, that at some point in the not too terribly distant future, Paul Morrow and Jason Davis and perhaps other staff and elected folks at the county level will be in front of you to talk about what you see as the vision for the CP rail corridor. There are as many ideas out there as there are people in Renfrew County, I would suggest. In terms of the CN corridor, I know there are ongoing discussions about that corridor as well, and I agree, it would be great, and the intention, I would hope, is to try and consolidate all of that and put it together. Our Development and Property Department is also working on a trails strategy for the county, the entire county, that will look at all sorts of trails and trying to develop a strategy that will allow those trail users and trail operators to work together. Whether it's snowmobile trails, walking trails, horse riding trails, whatever it is, it's not the intention, as I understand it, for the county to become the trail owners and the trail operators, but rather to bring those people together and encourage them to work together. So we have a coordinated trail network throughout the county of Renfrew. So I believe that's to be rolled out now within the next couple of months. And again, I would expect that strategy will come to you for your input and feedback at some point.
I just want to say, the people in Beachburg are pretty happy with the Main Street.
Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
And we hope to do the same in Westmeath in 2017 or 2018.
Councillor McLaughlin?
I'm just wondering, I'm more concerned or more interested in this widening these bicycle paths. Like, what would it be, what extra cost is there, Steve, if you weren't putting, like, compared to putting them on rather than not putting them on? Do you have a figure, or could you get me that kind of a figure?
Certainly I can get you that information.
You're going
I
to
don't have it at my fingertips,
Yeah.
so better that I send that information. I'll send it through to the CAO.
CAO. Yeah, because if I understand you correctly, you're going to do all the only extra cost is the extra surfacing. Is that correct? We would be doing the rest of the work anyway?
We would be doing some of the rest of the work anyway, but
Well, I guess
the paved shoulders, the paving of the shoulders is the biggest portion of that cost.
Yeah, I understand, and I'm not correct myself, because you have to build up the shoulders
Correct.
to bring it up level.
Correct.
It's not like we're going. The next question, Steve, is there any place that you would know that we could get some tourism dollars just for that portion? Or is there some place that you think there could be some money achieved? Or maybe that's not your area?
Well, it's not, but there is a program through the Ministry of Transportation, Provincial Ministry of Transportation. I believe it's titled Cycle Ontario, and they do provide some funding. I don't know what the requirements are, and I don't know what the deadline dates and values are, anything of that nature. There are other programs coming out from time to time for infrastructure upgrades, and some of them are very specific to certain types of activities. And so I'd certainly encourage you to keep an eye on those as they come along, as we do, and take advantage of those as much as you can in whatever way it goes.
I'm thinking the same as you, because we're going to start doing the Grand Settlement Road. And if any road in the whole of Renfrew County, but I feel that's the road that should have the shoulders paved, because that's the road that most of the traffic, the cyclers, the horseback riders, all those people, I don't know what you call it, they're out skateboarding or with their poles and they're on that road, and it is dangerous. So I think somehow we need to be looking and maybe doing something. I still think it would be best if the county took it over, but...
Well, That's a decision I can't make.
That's right.
Yeah, and I would just like to add that Michael Barber at the county is excellent in informing CAOs and clerks of upcoming funding opportunities. He tends to collect them and put them out, splat them out to everybody in an email, so we appreciate that.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Enjoy the rest of the evening, and you may see me out here with my boots and hard hat on during the summer or the early fall. Not till not till September out here. Okay, thanks again. Have a good night.
Okay, Design Hill Camp. The next item is Design Hill Camp. Christine will read this for us.
Yeah, we had in your package, back in February, there was a resolution passed, regarding this, location, so that in the springtime, Bill could get out and have a look and report back to you. Bill, did you have an opportunity?
I haven't been out, but actually I just heard back from Mr. Hewitt this afternoon, so I'm going to talk to Darrell after the meeting to see if we can meet out there tomorrow to go over the situation.
So I'll bring an update. We'll prepare a report then after your site visit, and we'll bring that back to council or to committee, depending on the timeline, to make a plan to move forward.
Okay. Okay. Okay, Recreation. Councillor Olmsted.
We're gonna take 5 minutes as we set up here if anybody wants a washroom break or water or whatever.